find some other job, some alternative, and maybe, now, if you don't get a job, now that's an obviously ridiculous example, but if you don't, as your first job out of college, you get a CEO job, although I've had students who kind of thought they were likely to get a CEO job, their first job out of high school, out of college. They were all sadly disappointed. But if you, so you don't succeed at that, you set a different goal. Okay, I'm going to set as a goal a job position of getting assistant manager at a retail store, if you're in retail. Or I'm going to look for a job as a manager at some business, or I'm going to be a marketing analyst. And then you build yourself up. The next job, as you succeed, you move up. You hit something, you don't do well, you set an alternative goal. And maybe a different career, maybe you start in sales, you don't like sales, or you don't do well in sales, you say, okay, well, I'm not going to be a sales executive, let's try marketing analyst. It's not necessarily a lower down job, it's a different job. Okay, when goals are frustrated, a lot of people, instead of reacting logically and saying, okay, I tried that didn't work, why? Well, I really wasn't qualified for that, or I didn't work hard enough for it. You know, I didn't do well on a test because I didn't really study. People employ what are known as defense mechanisms, aggression. They start either sometimes aggression at the source, whoever frustrated their goal, sometimes at a third party. So, you know, you do badly on a test, maybe you come yell at me, you become aggressive towards me, that's one type of aggression. Or you go home and you punch your little brother. What did he have to do with it? Nothing, but that's aggression. It's a way of dealing with your frustration. Of one goal, you take things out by a different way. Rationalization. Well, on the subject of the being a bad test, oh, that class doesn't matter anyway. Not my major, it's business support, I only need to get a C in that class, I'll get a D. It doesn't really matter what I do. You rationalize it. Regression, you go back to an earlier stage, and maybe go into your room and start crying or something. Withdrawal, you kind of isolate yourself from people, or in extreme cases, I couldn't put this much autism, it's not really, I mean, actual autism is a very serious psychological, physical and psychological condition. But you sort of just shut the whole world around you now. Projection. You attribute the failure to somebody else. You attribute your own failing onto other people. Identification, you identify with, oh, well, of course they rejected me. Why did they reject me? That's because people who have this background shouldn't get those kinds of jobs. So you kind of identify with the person frustrating you, or repression. Right? You just shut things out completely. Rationalization, by the way, is sometimes known as sour grapes. Right? That didn't matter anyway. Anyone eat up staples? No? Needs and goals vary among individuals, and you can't infer needs from behavior. For example, let's say right before the first midterm, I walk by and I see 3 students frantically studying their notes or the text or whatever. What are the possibilities? What are the possible motivations of those students for doing that last minute study? What are some possibilities? Of course.
Study at all?
They didn't study at all. It's half an hour before the test, and they figure they got to do some studying before going in. That's one possibility. What else could happen? Okay, somebody actually studied for the test and is just a very nervous type and wants to have something fresh in the memory, or perhaps studied something, but there was one point that the person didn't understand. They're frantically trying to find, okay, what was that? I know that's going to be on the test. What was that one point? Okay, so that's another possibility. Anything else? You could have somebody who really, yeah.
Maybe you also double check what how they did on the test.
They want to double check what other people did on the test?
And how they did on the test.
How they did on the test. Well, I say before, this was before the test. You're studying before you go into the test. I mean, you might, if there were multiple sections, you might find out from other people what things were on the test, so you make sure you know them. And that's possible, too. If there were multiple sections of something and you knew the same test, even similar tests were going to be used, then that might be something. Something, oh, I didn't study that. Oh, I better be careful. Let's make sure I study that particular item. That's possible. Or it could be that you have someone who is a straight A student who studies plenty for the test, and simply by nature, that type of person who's just constantly going to be panicked that instead of getting a 98 on the test, they'll only get a 97 this time. They want to make sure they study those extra questions. There is no way from observing the behavior that an outsider, which is anybody who's not the person involved, can figure out without some additional information which of those is the case. Motives can be aroused physiologically. You're hungry. I need to go find something to eat. There can be emotional arousal of motives. I'm sad. That makes me want to find something to do that will make me less sad. Cognitive. There's the cognitive school which believes that all behavior is related to goal attainment. That is, everything you do is that people think, essentially they're saying people think rationally all the time. And everything they do is to accomplish some goal. Now the goals might not have been set entirely rationally, but once the goals were set, your behavior is designed to accomplish that goal. Flip side of that is the behaviorist school, which believes in environmental arousal, stimulus response theory. That is, you respond to things in the environment. It's almost like you're passive, like one of Pavlov's dogs just reacting to the sound of the bell. Okay? I will tell you that I think pretty much everybody does some of all of this. I don't belong to either the cognitive school or the behavior school. I would say there are times when the environment triggers your motive. There are times when your behavior is designed to accomplish a goal. There are times when it's something simply physiologically that triggers the motive, and there are times when emotions are. Different people have different percentages of these, certainly. Some people will be like this. I mean, people who are really heavily on this are basically, I wouldn't even say sheep, I would say jellyfish, carry on whatever current is going along. And there are some people who are super in control and everything is goal-oriented. I don't know too many of them. They're really not a whole lot of fun to be around. Then there are people who are very emotional, who basically do everything based on their emotions.